Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out from end to end. And if you've got something to share, pick up the phone, turn it up. Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking.
Welcome brothers, welcome sisters, welcome to our program On Target. Our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, any part of the world you're hearing us, technology makes it easy. We are really a global village where communication is concerned. On our program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. The number is 442-0175. We are on YouTube, Real FM 91.9, 91.5, 94.9, that is in We Noise FM in Brooklyn, New York. And you can share our program, like our program, and subscribe to our program. You have no limit where subject matter is concerned. We speak about anything. You could change the topic at any time. We answer questions once we are able. We give our opinion on any subject matter. And if you have credible information, then we change in your opinion. So this is an opportunity for you to jump in, participate, talk about us, tell others. Yesterday we had a blast. Yesterday or day before, we had a blast, a big blast. From an ordinary perspective, we'll say a bomb blast. And by now, we should have information provided by the police. The police should have a press conference, or the Ministry of Communication, under which explosive used for construction work would be, or the Minister of Security. The Prime Minister happened to be the Minister of Security, also the Minister of Communication and Works. I have appealed to many people who have some influence around the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister have a policy of information based upon need to know. He is deliberately hiding information. Communist countries do that. That is a big difference between Marxist, Leninist, communist countries and we in the West. The politicians have a duty, a responsibility, an obligation to provide information. When they don't provide information, then speculation and rumors will run wild. I saw on social media that the Prime Minister said the explosive were the property of Gravel and Concrete Emulsion Production Corporation and was stored in the Special Service Unit headquarters in Point Salem. The Prime Minister must be believed that because he considers us as classless and commoners and beggy and culturally literates, that we're stupid. If you have explosive to be disposed of, and it is belonging to Gravel and Concrete Emulsion Production Corporation, and it is stored in the headquarters of this Special Service Unit, that is SSU. Now tell me, how that explosive reaching telescope, if you have explosive to be disposed of, and it belonged to gravel and concrete, and it was stored at SSU headquarters, Mr. Prime Minister, tell me how that explosive reaching telescope, somehow or the other you believe we're stupid. I don't believe that that explosive belonged to gravel and concrete. I don't believe that. I don't believe that the police was aware of that explosive. Yes, scholar, welcome.
I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, Senior.
Welcome to Cryman.
How are you?
Great, man.
Senior, I am very much concerned if this is the explanation that the Prime Minister gave. I believe, with due respect to the Prime Minister, your information via social media is an insult to the Grenadian population and by large, the people in Telescope. The question I need to ask, if the explosive was stored at Point Celine at the Special Service Unit as he claimed, what was the reason that this explosive was transported to Telescope? What was the reason that this explosive were stored at Telescope? The other question, if this explosive have to leave Point Celine, did it travel hanging in the bottom of a helicopter for security reason? Where did gravel and concrete or whosoever had it pass to go to Telescope? And if this is just the meager reason, explanation you could give, the big question that we need to ask, the magnitude of damage suffered by the people of Telescope, not only to the houses, but the psychological effect that it will have, the long-term effect it will have upon the people with the hearing, the long-term effect it will have upon the people who will be compensating the people, not only in Telescope. The blast has damaged people as far as Grenville, as far as Progress Park, as far as Simon. Who will be compensating the people for the damage that had happened to the house? Mr. Prime Minister, the blast, in my opinion, is more than dynamite. It appears to me it's a bomb. Did your ministry consult anybody in social development that they can be able to go to Telescope and counsel, especially the older heads and the young children that has been traumatized by the blast? Mr. Prime Minister, as the person responsible for national security, did you send a fact-finding mission to identify the people that got damaged and what form of compensation that they're going to receive? Senior, I rest my case in terms of the blast in Telescope. And besides the explanation that the Prime Minister gave, there is something in the matter besides the pestle, meaning that there is no question and answer. I rest my case, sir.
Yes, scholar, and I'm in full agreement with you. The Prime Minister of Grenada, and it's difficult for me, very difficult. I'm losing some of my respect for these journalists that have access to the Prime Minister. I know that a number of journalists don't have access to the Prime Minister and the ministers. But the photogenic one and the doctor of journalism, come on. All you start to look ordinary. You all start to look ordinary. You all putting your profession on the line. You all opening up yourself for people to treat you all like ordinary, like Prento. The minister of the Prime Minister, who is Minister of Security, and is also the Minister of Communication and Works, you need to have a press conference with credible journalists to ask you questions. I believe you're telling lies. Whatever you say, Mr. Prime Minister, I just take with a whole pound of salt. This one need a bag of salt. If the explosive belongs to the property of Gravel and Concrete Cement Emulsion Production Corporation, or Gravel and Concrete, and was stored at the Special Service Unit headquarters in Point Saline, that is SSU, how did the explosive reach in Telescope? What transport brought it up there? And if it was transported to be disposed of, shouldn't the police be present? Shouldn't the neighborhood be informed that they're going to hear control blasting or destruction of explosive between 3 and 5 o'clock? Mr. Prime Minister, what's wrong with you? I do not believe it was stored in the SSU camp. I do not believe it was explosive belonging to Gravel and Concrete. And although I'm asking you that the explosive that was found in Carlton House, behind Carlton House, or around Carlton House, where was it disposed of? We know that. We didn't say nothing. Explosive was found around Carlton House, the former substance abuse center. Where was it disposed of? It means that there is more explosive ingredient lying around. So I'm advising you now, Mr. Prime Minister. You don't have to take me advice. I know you won't bother with me. Go and have a sit down with Ewart Lane and ask him about the explosive that was brought during the revolution, the bombs. He might not know the specific area, but he's going to know where they were stored. And Ewart Lane could call the political commotion. The political commotion could have enough people who know with more specificity the specific areas that the bombs and explosive was. Mr. Prime Minister, you and Ewart Lane now going good. He will tell you. And Ewart Lane, if he need more information, he could call the political commotion in their time, and he would know all the SSU and all, not all the SSU, all the PRA that would have been handling the explosive, specifically where the explosive was. Then you could get the necessary explosive apparatus and identify the areas and have them explode in a controlled way. Mr. Prime Minister, you're playing with fire and hiding information is not the answer. You're going to make rumors and speculation run wild. And you blatantly telling lies. Simple question. If the explosive belonged to Gravel and Concrete and it was stored in the SSU headquarters in Point Saline, when was it transported to Telescope? If you intended to have control destruction of the explosive, Why were not the people in the community informed? When they have live fire practice, live gunfire, that is language that is not, I'm not too accustomed with. That is military language now. I'm not too accustomed with. So, but when they have live ammunition firing practice, they normally do it in pause. And they would inform the public between what hours you're likely to hear live firing ammunition fire. So why in this instant, Mr. Prime Minister, if the explosive was that of gravel and concrete and was stored where it's supposed to be stored, in the Special Service Unit headquarters in Point Salem, when was it transported to Paul's, and why did you select Paul's? Not Paul's, but Telescope. When was it transported to Telescope, and why did you select Telescope to do this explosion? Bearing in mind that you have the schools in Grenville and you have 2 schools in Telescope, 3 schools in Telescope. Why did you use that time of the day? So, Prime Minister, you have to give us information. You know, it disturbed me. I know you're a political neophyte, but it disturbed me when so much Grenadians who used to walk around town claiming that they are custodians of accountability have lost the ability to speak. It worries me because we are a small country. And because you believe in bribery. Why I say you believe in bribery? You said that money was paid for something of good relationship. And any politician that gets involved in paying money for good relationship, that in my opinion is bribery. And we see the level of corruption that is rumored taking place in this country, blatantly and widespread. And that's why I believe you are the corrupter in chief. You flaunt the law with impunity. Isn't it a fact that when anybody have to use explosive in the country, it must be under the guidance and knowledge of the police? Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Go ahead, caller.
And I want to say that I'm in full agreement with what you're saying there. I haven't seen anything there that I can doubt in what you're saying there. And also the pastor, what the pastor said before. You know, because I heard the Prime Minister speak, and like the Prime Minister is wondering for himself what happened. He see he was waiting a report, he haven't got a report, and gravel and concrete, or whatever we call it, will he expect them to give a report. It's sad, I mean, when the police or the army, the regiment is practicing, normally they will give out notice. Every time they give notice, and they tell you the areas they'll be using, and they tell you about animals and whatnot. Every time. No notice was given, and we don't know whether the whatever went off was in Telescope or brought to Telescope. And I'm worried over that, because the same thing happened. The Prime Minister is claiming like he don't know what happened with the carpenters and builders, and the Prime Minister is doing like, you know, he's so annoyed over that people, when they get money to build the houses, they're not doing it. But the Prime Minister should know that he have to have people to supervise that. You couldn't allow that to reach to that state before it has been supervised. If you have 5,000 people building house, you have to have at least 1,000 people to be supervising them. And I don't think the Prime Minister expect imbecile me to tell him that. You must know that. So you, based on the amount of persons you have with contract out, you have to have people to supervise that. And just before they started building house, I remember listening to a program where they was instructing the builder, they calling builders and whatnot, and they was instructing the builders, and the builder was questioning them as to how the roof had to go and how things had to go and whatnot. And they even give us the guaranteed assurance that they can build those houses in 3 weeks. So the Prime said aware of all those things. They gave the guarantee that they could build the houses. One house could be built in 3 weeks. So the Prime Minister should be on top of all these things, and he's behaving now like he's just hearing about them. But they had briefings or training with the builders. Now they're saying, now you hear one minister saying that when we had confidence in the builders and we send them out to work and look at what they do. But if you have confidence, somebody has to supervise your confidence. Somebody has to be on top of it. The Minister of Finance is saying almost the same thing. So you all sat there and give people house to build, and you all didn't know what was happening. You're paying, let's say you were paying by the fortnight. From the time they start building house, check the amount of fortnights. So you must have known if the persons are not pulling their weight. If the builders are giving ratchet fee, you must have known. So something wrong.
The Prime Minister is corrupt, and he has a corrupt group. That is what is wrong.
I am hoping that we get answers. Because, I mean, just the statements, making those statements, can clarify those things. You give a man a house to build. You're living in Tongue and the man living in Grenville. Even though you don't go up every day. The next day, 2 days, or 3 days you go, you must be able to see what is done. When the man go and collect money, the workers, you hear workers complain that they didn't get paid and they didn't get paid and they didn't get paid and whatnot. How that they reaching back to the ministry?
And you remember, the people that are giving the houses are really yellow. Those people that are giving the contract is those that are really yellow.
Well, for that one I can't say. I don't do.
Well, I'm telling you, those that are really yellow that get the contract.
You see,
remember, the Prime Minister said the only reason others get in is because we don't know who the real yellow is.
Yes, but I can't say that the people are
well,
giving it. But I am saying that the Prime Minister have let down himself there. Even the Minister of Finance, because you all must have known, even the people houses that born in Shantimel, up to now, as far as I understand, the houses are not completely. Something had to be wrong.
Yeah.
And we need answers. So I'm hoping.
That's why we asking.
Yes. But I'm hoping that the relevant authorities will ask too, like the Parliament, the members of Parliament.
Well, Parliament could ask why they don't answer in Parliament. You see what goes on in Parliament?
Still ask, so that tomorrow they can say they ask.
Yeah.
I mean, that is high class nonsense. You can't pretend now, it's like a man have his son or his daughter. Every day the child coming home with a piece of tool or with something that it doesn't belong to the home. You're not asking them a question about it. When something happens, you turn and say, yes or no. I used to see them coming in. But you have to question it. The Prime Minister must have known that there must be proper supervision, and he must supervision because you said to us that the houses will be building back.
Yes, God. Thank you.
Thank you.
You see, you have to understand that the NDC is the most corrupt political group in the country. This version under Dick Mitchell will beat back all the others before. Remember, the NDC is the same group of people that cut down Belvedere Nutmeg, take about 25 million in loan, you know. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, scholar, welcome.
actually, you see the reason why I name these people poor people terrorists.
Yes, scholar, and I agree with you.
Look at the blast take place
In Telescope.
in poor people region.
And they take the bomb from tongue or the explosive from tongue.
Yeah, and Mr. Pierre, in 2003, I get a job. I go and beg the man for a job. He was from Denmark. He was the manager of Ashleaf, who do all the sea defense and the cruise terminus. Right? Who do all the sea defense and the cruise terminus. If Grenada remember, we was using the first quarry was the quarry in Woodford, which had to throw down a big mountain. I was the supervisor there in the blasting field. When we ready to blast, I have to accompany the man with the license to do the blasting. And an officer, when we go and collect the stuff, an officer will accompany us on the blasting site. Whatever they use, we bring it back in SSU camp. So, gravel and concrete never, no matter they used to blast, they have no
Control.
They don't have this thing in the control. Everything controlled by the police. Everything. In Woodford, the only thing we used to have on our own, because we used to get the ammonia. It's already own ammonia, and we mix the ammonia with diesel and store it in bags. That's the only thing we used to have. But all the detonators and what we call the pudding. You remember we call it pudding?
Yeah.
You shove the detonator inside the pudding and drop it down inside the hole and then stop it up with the ammonia and the diesel. And then you put dust. Yeah. So the leader, the popular terrorists, bring himself national security. You have to come better than that.
Of course.
But don't tell the nation already. I'll give full the first reason and name the kind of popular terrorists. When they come in power, they take away the houses from the people in Carrico. You go and give the keys. And then you take 150 from the old people. Disadvantage. You have to be a popular terrorist. Mr. Pierre, that way I see him and say, no, that man a popular terrorist. I ain't go to the second night. I finished school when I was 16 years old. Never go to no second night. And the same Ashleaf man, the man name was Paul Media. He went to have a meeting with Dr. Kep Mitchell, world boss. When the man come back, the man laughing. He say, people know you, man. I say, what are you talking about? He say, Kep Mitchell say, my boy, every man, so-and-so president, name is so-and-so. Give him a job. He say, the man is my supervisor. He say, what? He say, Mr. Prime Minister, that man is my supervisor. He say, we have a good man with you. So, Mr. Pierre, I was talking to a brother in Canada today. And he tell me, no. He tell me that blast, something wrong. Somebody trying something.
That is a bomb blast, man. Yes, scholar. And the response I see on social media, they said it appears the Prime Minister was in some meeting and he told his core supporters that. Because when they have their town hall meeting, it's NDC heavyweight that's inside it. The Prime Minister, Minister of Security, Minister of Communication and Works, you have to have a press conference and open the door for some of you journalists to ask questions. Because they would have simply asked you, what time did this explosive was brought in telescope? Why telescope was selected? And why you did not provide public information for the people in telescope and the surrounding area? So we don't believe the explosive is gravel and concrete one. We don't believe that the explosive was brought to telescope. We don't believe that the police know anything about it. We also believe that explosive was found around the former Carlton House in St. George's. And this one was brought to inform the police, and it was quietly disposed of. We are saying now, communicate with Ewart Lane and find out what other parts of the country that we're likely to have explosive of that quantity and quantum. And if Ewart Lane must know the general area, but if Ewart Lane called the political commotion, he would have more knowledge on the specific sites. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Where is this senior NDC people and them?
Well, they can, right now, they baffle, they don't have information,
Well, I can imagine.
and they shame and they disappointed, and they can't defend Deacon. Deacon lying too much.
That, oh my God. And where is your partner? I don't hear you call and say anything about it.
Well, I wouldn't call now. He may call and give me a 2-blow later on.
He is one what knows the Prime Minister in when he out, where he going for, what he coming with and everything, and he always know
He
everything.
might call a little later on.
And I don't hear his voice at all.
I don't know if you ever hear that blast anytime in history, but
I would like to hear his voice and hear what he's saying about it. Have a good day.
yes, sir. And I don't know if Cultureman argue with the blast or if he believe that why telescope? Why, Mr. Prime Minister? If what you say he have any truth in it, then why was it brought to telescope? You see, you always are unscrupulous bunch, you know. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, yeah.
I come back with you for a minute.
Yeah, brother.
I ain't mentioning Ewart Lane since yesterday. What position Ewart Lane have in the NDC?
Well, I think he's I heard he was some advisor to NDC. He has some big job with the government now, as an advisor.
Mr. Pierre, Gradient have to remember that that is the man that take responsibility for the execution and the voting.
Yeah.
Publicly, you know. He take responsibility publicly. So, Jesus Christ.
You see,
Yeah,
sometimes you
yeah.
dig your own grave.
So therefore, so when I listen to you, but when I say yesterday, I say no, Mr. Pierre, no, what you saying? Because if you say the movement and the NDC is one body,
Yeah.
so the movement, because the movement is oral,
Yeah.
that that Lane party.
I know asking him about the
oral.
political commotion.
Yeah.
The political commotion must know more information on where the bombs are.
So, Mr. Pierre, you thinking like a 20 years old man. You're perfectly right.
Well, I tell you, I ain't tongue
Because
long.
you're classifying NDC with the movement, it's the same thing. Because if Ewart Lane is in NDC now, so that clearly matter. Jesus Christ.
And that is why when I ask Peter to tell me about the Angola option, and know based upon age me and him could forget, I said to him, You go and discuss the matter with Ewart Lane. He's going to advise you.
Yes. Yeah, because
And they must tell Grenadians about the Angola option.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Pierre, every time I hear you use the word Angola option, all them communists, all them Corite, all them Bishopites, all them Marxists, all them atheists, watch out, they shiver in the boots. You know?
The Angola option.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Yes.
you. Keep teaching.
Ewart Lane made 3 moves.
I call you Dr. Pierre. I'll call you Dr. Pierre.
We have to have you see, we can walk away from what is true. The truth is there staring us. That is going to prevent us from making the same mistakes we make in the past. Don't let them distract us. If you have an individual from your community that wants to represent you, but they refuse to have any discussion with you, how they could represent you? I constantly say that. You have a blast, a bomb blast of that magnitude in Grenada, and 48 hours after, you're not hearing a press conference from the police. Yes, caller, welcome. Yeah.
Good day, sir.
Go ahead, caller.
Mr. Pierre, that's blast that went on in telescope. I don't know. It reminds me of a couple years back. I remember sometimes there was a dump in telescope where they dump where they should be dumping stuff. And NASA dumped some chlorine stuff around it. I don't know how many people remember that. Some chlorine was dumped. I'm just wondering if that's not, if it's around the area, because I don't know where this blast took place. But I wonder if that doesn't have a part to play with it. So that's my contribution.
Okay. Nawasa had a special. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller. You there, caller? Our caller lost us. Yes, you see, the government have to provide information. The government thinks we're stupid. The NDC like to call us stupid, and dumb, classless, and commoners. The NDC always give the impression that they are the smartest people in the country. They are the most corrupt. They cut down Belleville and Nutmeg. And the Nutmeg Association honor them for that. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre. How are you doing?
Great, man.
I heard your utterance.
Good.
And I basically heard you say that the Prime Minister is corrupt.
You kind of low.
No. I heard you say the Prime Minister is corrupt. So that I know that you're a former principal, so I'm much afraid.
You kind of low, and that's it.
No, I said your author, and basically stated that the Prime Minister is corrupt.
I said that the Prime Minister is the corrupter in chief.
Right. Yes.
And I gave reasons why I said that.
Right. So it therefore means that the statement that you're also making are corrupt statements, because the definition of corrupt.
You see, Colin, I could tell you why I said that, It might be easier for me to give you a reason.
Let me explain myself. You've been talking for a while, so let me explain.
Make your comments.
So based upon your utterance, and based upon the context in which you've been saying corrupt, so therefore I could now deem you corrupt, because you're saying a person is corrupt and you cannot prove that person is corrupt. Because corruption is when one goes against the moral order, or when one infringe on the law, and he or she don't follow what they should do. So it's basically you making those insinuations and you're casting remarks, trying to demean and defame the Prime Minister. It therefore means that maybe I could say or other people can say that you are corrupt as well. So I'm just stating that it's important for you to be very careful with your utterance, right? Because the fact remains that this Prime Minister has proven what he's been doing over the years in terms of putting things in place for Grenada, right? So based upon that narrative, based upon that mantra, I can safely state, and I could say that I don't think your utterance is fair, right? So based upon what you're saying, I think you should retract, and I think that you should ask for forgiveness to your audience, because what you're saying is basically inaccurate, and you have a program and you're talking to the nation, and a responsible person as you as a former principal, you're very instrumental, and you have the influence to influence a lot of people, and people listen in your program. So I listen myself, onus is on me as a responsible Grenadian, right, to just tell you that you have to be careful with your utterance, and when you're talking about a person who's actually the head of the country from a political point of view, we have to be careful with how we describe that person. Because I'm not hearing you saying that the pension was paid. I'm not hearing you saying that in terms of the monies and so on, the increase of salaries. I'm not hearing you saying of all the little innovations and all the work that's been done. And I've never heard you spoke about the past administration in terms of the wastage of millions of dollars. So based upon what you say, I think you should refrain.
I form my opinion on issues, and I give you reason. And if you want to challenge me on the fact that the Prime Minister is corrupt, deal with the reason I advance. One, the Prime Minister framed the law in the Grenada Development Bank to benefit his members and himself. That is an act of corruption. In the CBI program, the Prime Minister and several members of the hierarchy are agents involved in selling passports. And we ask him, if you're doing that, tell us who's going to do the check and balance. He refused to answer. So we come to the conclusion that it's a corrupt act. The Prime Minister of Grenada, it seems, have a third party directing our foreign affairs. And we believe he get money to do that. And we asked the question, and he refused to answer. We heard that the Prime Minister received expensive gifts in excess of 30,000. We asked him, if you receive those gifts, retire it to the Integrity Commission. And he said, and it's that. We heard that the 100 house units in Karakou is taken and used for people in the diaspora. And that is for the selfish personal benefit of the Prime Minister and his team. Color, that is corruption. The Prime Minister said that the money he paid was for good relationship. Well, Color, if you pay money for good relationship, that bribery, and that is corruption. Deal with that. Do you remember the number to call is 4420175, and we are not afraid of challenge. We always tell you we'll give our opinion. But if you could advance evidence to the contrary, we will change our opinion. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, the genesis of corruption in Grenada is when Dick Mitchell repealed the procurement.
Caller, we're not talking about it. So are you saying, caller, because there was corruption before, we must let it continue? Are you saying that, Color? Remember, the NDC established a group with lawyers to investigate Kit Mitchell. And they brought down a forensic expert. And they found no credible evidence. The only people they charged was Fullerton. And then they fire the Attorney General Bristol, 2 of their own. They found no credible evidence of corruption during Kit Mitchell era. You have to get the facts straight. The time has come for us to face the truth.
I'm saying to you that when Deacon repealed the act that Kit Mitchell had with $15,000, and you could give anybody that job for $15,000 and bring it to $100,000, that's where all the corruption starts in the construction business today. Because there is no contract signing with $100,000. A minister could take it and give it to his friend, and he had no responsibility for it. That's my case.
Yes, Scholar, thank you. The government initiated economic discipline. And that is important. All Grenadians must know that. With the help of the International Monetary Fund, they say you all have to have economic discipline. So no minister must not give a contract for more than 15,000. Deacon bring it to 100,000. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, it could be 100,000, it could be 15,000. It's the same thing.
Scholar, is not the same thing. It is not the same thing. It is not the same thing. If you have to give a contract for more than 15,000, you must have 3 persons sending bids for the contract. It is not the same thing. You open the door to corruption. That is what Deacon do. That is why I call Deacon the corrupter in chief. That is why we call him the corrupter in chief. And this is unacceptable. We made sacrifice for that. On 3 occasions, we had the structural adjustment program. Workers were sent home. We cut social program. And as a result of the economic discipline initiated by the previous government, when the government took office in 2022, they met $500 million in the treasury. They got $100 million from Saudi Arabia. They got $118 million from the burial, the insurance that Kit Mitchell and them take out to cover the hurricane. In addition to that, the CBI program that the Kit Mitchell government started under barrage of criticism from NDC, they get $1 billion from it. What did NDC do with the money? They gallivant around the world. One minister traveling and she traveling with Chibo. The prime minister traveling with Ibo too. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, good day.
Mr. Pierre, I don't really know what's going on, you know, because the defense man say, housing this month, Global say, all housing projects this month, but the prime minister who say, all the housing projects, you really know who's behind and who's taking it.
You kind of breaking up.
I'm breaking up? Oh my God.
I don't know if it's either you keep the phone closer to your mouth or something, or you win or something.
I was saying, I don't really know, because the finance man say that's how they're closing up all the housing projects for this month. And Global say they're closing up all the housing projects for this month. But the Prime Minister in Charco, that is Kevin Andrews, say no housing and close up, they're going through with the project. I don't know what's going on.
But the NDC,
I don't know who lying from who ain't lying.
It's difficult to understand this team. It's a bunch of individuals that...
Yes, they're wicked.
Yeah.
They're very wicked.
That's why we call them poor people terrorists and vultures.
Yes.
And I think it's
Because
well
man was
deserved.
saying they're closing down the program. Glo go and had it saying they're closing on the program for this month. All housing programs stopping. But the Prime Minister and Karaku, which is Kevin Andrews, say they continue. So we in a dilemma with these people and that.
And what is happening, and we beg them not to do that, because they're not giving information.
Yes.
What they're doing is
People don't know
always
what's going
trying to do
on.
damage control.
Exactly.
Provide information. And you will not be there trying to play catch up
I
game.
don't think Grenadians going to put back these people and them there.
But you never
know
could tell,
that.
Grenada doesn't
They
obey
do,
logics.
They will do it. Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre. Have a blessed day.
Yes.
I love listening to you.
Yes, thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah, you see, we are the custodians of our democracy.
Yes.
And we could change, We could do better.
We could.
But we can't
We could
continue
do
to
better.
accept Deacon Mitchell just lying, so.
Yes, he
That is
just
a
lying.
joke.
All of them, the whole team lying. The whole team. Not one talking the truth. Well, let's say Sister Glo talking the truth. Lying too.
They're telling lies. I mean, how you could do that? That are good.
I don't hope they put back these people in MD.
But we have to provide the information for the voters and let
Yes,
the voters make the decision.
of course.
That's
Me and
all we're
my
gonna do.
children- Me and all my children are ready for them.
Yeah.
Ready for them. They had to go.
Yeah. And some of
Right.
them, they're not facing the truth. I said Deacon Mitchell is the corruptor in chief.
Yes.
And I advanced about 5 reasons why I say that. But I could bring in 10. But I gave 5 reasons.
Oh my.
You cannot have a prime minister doing that in the country.
Wow. Wow.
The prime minister
the
just
country already,
lying, as if it's a
Tell us the
joke.
country already.
You have a bomb blast of that magnitude in telescope. You're supposed to have a press conference. Unless you want to hide something. If the explosive, yes, caller, welcome.
Pierre,
Yes,
I listen to this woman that Pierre, the government program continue. The build back program, they must finish the house. They have, you can't understand English. Hey.
yes, caller. Now, you have a bomb blast of this magnitude.
Good
Have a caller on
afternoon,
the
Mr.
line?
Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, this in this country like Drake. And all what you say there is corrupt. Corrupt. So let us take it in the sink way right now. Bye, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, I asked the question. If the prime minister is under some mind-altering substance, the prime minister is a lawyer. So lawyers are good with words. The prime minister acting as somebody that don't have sense. He flip-flopping, changing him out every minute. And he's telling lies to cover up lies. Now, if you know you're going into your own party session, and you are aware of the fact of the magnitude of that blast, you must expect somebody to ask you to give an explanation. And to beside, we are on the radio. You was beating your chest for Jenny Simon and calling her social media badger. And you beating your chest. Answer the question we're asking you. Yes, caller, welcome. Cultureman, you could call us too and tell us about the blast. Not even in the days of the revolution, you hear blasts like that. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, my brother.
You know, the magnitude of that blast, I would have thought that there would have been a press conference by the RGPF and together with the Minister of National Security. And they would have do a thorough investigation because the magnitude of that blast, you don't know for sure if somebody is lying in the bushes close. I hope the police do a thorough search around the area because the blast could put somebody miles away. I shouldn't say miles, but feet away. Because you see what was in the yard, they were pitched, and they might be in the bush all now, stranded for their life.
hope they do a thorough search around the area to see if there's any individual that is injured in the bushes. Yeah, so there's a lot of things they have to do. You know, I don't understand. Something like that from a national security standpoint, you're supposed to do a press conference. You're supposed to. Have a nice day, sir.
Yes, the Prime Minister Pierre went in his town hall meeting. Normally in this meeting, his hardline members, you see there. You can't go there and ask questions. They might demolish you. But the Prime Minister make a statement and I saw it on social media. But if the ammunition, the explosives was stored in SSU headquarters in Point Saline, how does that explosive reach in Telescope? And if it was a controlled explosion, why the public was not informed? Was police present? So I believe the Prime Minister lied. It was not a controlled explosion. And that is why I say to him, have a discussion with Ewart Lane. Because he would know where the bombs are or the explosive are. And if Ewart Lane can tell you the specific area, Ewart Lane would call up the political commotion at that time. And between them, they would able to zero in areas that you could able to identify additional explosive. We heard word on the ground that explosive was also found around the former Carlton area. So they know. We hearing. We getting information. And because of the special relationship you have now with Ewart Lane, I know he's supposed to cooperate with you. Unless he have another agenda. And I think it's in our interest to know these things and speak about it. And my heart goes out to some of the NDC militants. Because every day they have to hide, and malign other people. They cannot face the truth. They don't have arguments. They can't defend. And you have a Prime Minister that by now you know is a compulsive liar. And while we say that, my heart goes out to the farmers in Maribor. The NDC is still waging war against the farmers as they refuse to give them back the water. The people in the Senate don't represent the farmers in Maribor. They don't care. Because they believe that the farmers in Maribor is not on the yellow list. Poor farmers that has been benefiting for over 20-something years from the water. The NDC government cut them off. Just as when they cut down Belvedere Nutmeg. And we're back with you next week for another opportunity on Target. Thank you very much.
On 91.9 and 91.5, Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real with Francis